Buckeyes get the job done at home. They defeat UCLA 48-10, a chaotic game. Not just the storylines before the game, but during the game and now after the game as the Buckeyes. Tough situation right now with where they stand health-wise. A lot of issues to digest there. They really just want to get to this Michigan game. That's their main goal, and yet the Buckeyes have to trudge through first UCLA, next Rutgers, then they can get to Michigan. That's kind of all the hubbub right now is, can they get to this game? That's what all Buckeye fans are talking about, is getting to Michigan, getting to that matchup. And right now the Buckeyes having some tough news post-game, dealing with the Jeremiah Smith injury, which we'll get to in just a second. However, traditionally we like to do this, right? This is what we like to do after the Buckeyes get a victory. There's only so many Saturdays in Ohio State football during their season, so we want to celebrate. When the Buckeyes win, let's celebrate, right? That's the deal for me every time. I like to say, hey, the Buckeyes won, let's celebrate it. Like the video to celebrate. When you see that thumbs up button, when you see that number next to the thumbs up button, you will know other Ohio State fans are celebrating the win just like you, so be sure to do so. All right, Jeremiah Smith post-game. The video's rough. He was questionable before the game. Then the Buckeyes kind of put him on a pitch count. He played almost up until halftime. They actually stopped him for the last drive. Then the rest of the game, barely moving around on the sideline. Not a good look. And then post-game, you see him walking around all over the place with a limp, a tough limp. And Ryan Day saying post-game it's a nagging injury for Jeremiah Smith. I don't know if that just means lately. I don't know if that means the past week. I don't know if that means today. However, the video of Jeremiah Smith limping around, not good. Not good at all. It's a really tough look to have him on the sideline right now, looking the way he does, especially just knowing you're coming down the stretch, right? This is it. You had to knock out UCLA, then you just knock out Rutgers real quick, and then it all begins. And at this time, Carnell Tate out, missed the game again. Jeremiah Smith, obviously, like I said, post-game, limping around a little bit, and Ryan Day saying they wanted to hold him to a pitch count because he's I got this nagging injury, this little injury that he's got going. And look, the worst part, the bad news, is the bad look of the walking around with a huge limp, whether you played or didn't play or whatever. Carnell Tate was tight last week, but now he's missing another game. The injury situation for the Buckeyes, not good right now. Very concerning, and you still have another throwaway game that you kind of have to get through to get to the next one. So I think the injury situation, really bad news for the Buckeyes right now. They will have to deal with it and keep moving on, which leads me to my question for you guys. Concern level with Jeremiah Smith's leg injury. Did you see the video of him walking around after the game? What were your thoughts when he was kind of, it was a tough limp in my opinion. It was a tough limp, him trying to move around, get off the field and whatnot. I'm interested to hear your guys' opinion. You can scale it for me, 1 to 10, your concern level with Jeremiah Smith's injury as of right now. All right, also want to talk Ryan Day. Not that, we didn't infer he was right or is always right, or I don't know, however you want to put it with Ryan Day. But he was totally right on one thing I had heard him say over and over and over again, and that was, we're going to need these guys. The first one, obviously, that I think of with a 2-touchdown game, by the way, shout him out, James Peoples, awesome moment to watch him go out and have the game he did for Ohio State. Ryan Day said, we're going to need all the running backs. This was a night where they needed him. They just needed him out there as a receiving running back. They needed him, with the vibes of making that play. They needed James Peoples tonight. Tate out, Smith out, Bryson Rodgers catches a touchdown pass. I remember 2 weeks ago, Ryan Day saying, we're going to need Bryson Rodgers and we're going to need Quincy Porter. And I remember thinking, Brandon Innes barely gets the ball. Why do we need these guys? But here we are, 2 weeks later, with 2 receivers injured, just getting through these moments during the season. You needed these guys. Ryan Day, totally right on those points. Do want to let you guys know this episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. The hard-hitting football action is even better with Prize Picks. The weather might be changing, but the feeling of being right never gets old. So keep the season rolling on Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5 lineup. That's $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks is the best way to cash in this football season. Which players are going off, which ones are overhyped, Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your takes into cash. Here's a look at a Browns Prize Picks lineup that we have set up for Sunday. Check this out. More on Derrick Henry, 3.5 first rush yards, getting more than 3.5. Keaton Mitchell, you guys know I love the rushing plus receiving touchdowns. More on his half. And then Andre Schmitz, the make and a half on the field goals. Want to make sure I get that right so you guys can grab it. That's an example of one of the lineups you can put together on Prize Picks or copy on Prize Picks. Prize Picks, how you play is up to you. If you want flexibility, you can choose Flex Play, where you can get paid even if one of your picks misses. And if you want one of the biggest payouts, go for the Power Play. No matter how you play, Prize Picks is a great way to put your takes to the test. That's what they like to say there. Download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups when you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Maybe this was not Julian Sayin's best game overall. I think it was okay. It was a weird night. You're losing guys on your offense. You all of a sudden have new receivers. But the thing that stuck out to me, and if you guys follow the Ohio State Football Report, if you're subscribed, if you're watching videos, you guys know I have been waiting to see Julian Sayin in the rain. That has been a test for me. I wanted to see him pass and look good in. There was a drive. It was pouring in Columbus. And I thought Julian Sayin stepped up and looked pretty good. He took hits during this drive. I thought he delivered the right passes. The Buckeyes ended up kicking a field goal during it, not necessarily scoring on it, but it made me feel a little bit better. Maybe even if Sayin didn't play well in this rain situation. For me personally, just the idea that he knocked this out, got this done, had a moment where it was pouring in Columbus, and he had to battle through and make it happen. Again, a young quarterback, still has a lot of experience to get. I think Michigan will be the next weather experience he needs to get through and deal with. But makes me feel a little bit better that Sayin had that opportunity today and looked good. History was made. It has been 15 years. Stay with me here. 15 years since the Buckeyes had a kick return for a touchdown. Yes, that's right. And Lorenzo Styles Jr., who, again, if you keep up with the Ohio State Football Report, a transfer from Notre Dame. He's obviously Sonny's brother. He was a wide receiver at Notre Dame. Now he's here at Ohio State. That 100-yard kick return, the first since 2010. Unbelievable. Again, a moment in this Buckeye season, right? A moment to enjoy, a moment to take in. A lot of you guys like to write that W and move on to the next. I can't wait for Michigan, so on and so forth. I get it. But these are the reasons I love taking in Ohio State football every single Saturday, because on a night where the Buckeyes might struggle with UCLA or just want to get through it and whatnot, and all the fans just want to be done, I'm enjoying watching Lorenzo Styles have his moment. And you saw the sideline went nuts. They loved it too. They love Lorenzo Styles, and they know that that's like a 15-year drought for kickoff returns for touchdown. Downs got it last year with the punt return. He set that one back in time. And then this year we get Lorenzo Styles Jr. If you weren't with us for our watch party earlier, we were trying to hit 18K. So close. Ran out of time, but our subs are building. The channel is building. We want to have you be a part of it. Hit that sub button right now to help us get to 18,000 subscribers. You guys can see how close we are with just 39 to go. So if you're not subbed, you love Ohio State football or just college football in general, you want to be a part of it, be sure to hit that sub button. All right, my final takeaway against the UCLA Bruins. Shout out the shoe, right? Awesome stuff from the Ohio State faithful. I want to make sure I get this number correct. The penalties in this one, unbelievable. Ohio State fans forcing these penalties. I really felt that way. 7 for 55 yards for UCLA. 7 penalties for 55 yards. They absolutely looked shook from the beginning. They had to call timeouts just like Minnesota did. If you guys remember, Minnesota kind of struggling with that a little bit. And UCLA was in the same boat. They were out there feeling the wrath of the Ohio State faithful, so to speak. And look, I just love to give a shout out to the fans because they're the ones that make the atmosphere. Ohio State absolutely is a tough place to play, and they showed it once again on a Saturday night on primetime. Even with their struggles, they went out there and made the difference for the Buckeyes. Again, the the Bruins with 7 penalties for 55 yards, multiple delay games, having to call timeouts to avoid delay games. I mean, the Buckeyes made the difference from the stands, helping the team on the field. That kind of wraps things up for this one. Again, just tough news with Jeremiah Smith, just not looking good. It doesn't look like something that's going to easily, go away. You just want it to be a week off for him, and the Buckeyes need to move forward and then figure out who sits in that place. You're getting ready for Michigan. That's where you're at in the season. That's what the Buckeyes are doing right now. It stinks to see guys hurt in that process, but it's all a part of the year.